Hey, Michael Roomshaw here. I'm going to give you a rundown of our beautiful Decca console. This is a console from the 1950s and 1960s. It was one of Decca's main location consoles. So it was recorded everybody from Perlman, Ashkenazy, Benjamin Britten. It's got a lot of history to it. You can see it in a BBC Benjamin Britten documentary as well. It sounds just fantastic. And about 20 years ago, some dear friends, Kevin Van Green and Tim Paravicini, completely went through the console and restored it to a thing of beauty. And I'm going to give you a little rundown of it now. So we've got a listening event today. Okay, so I'm going to give you a rundown of the Decca. It's a really, really simple console, definitely of its time. Let me start at the back. So the signal comes in here on XLRs. These are actually the opposite gender from current XLRs, just due to when it was done. So everything is sort of a little bit back to front. But there's a beautiful patch bay on here, and all of this has been completely restored. And all the wiring goes to a beautiful custom patch bay that Kevin Van Green did, which is up here. So we've got some mic amps out in the room that I'm going to show you as well that are also Decca, part of the console. But essentially 11 to 20 are the inputs on the console that's in the control room, and these all operate at mic level, but we've got some pads that come in on switches so that we can use them as returns from Pro Tools or the tape machine as well, which is really cool. Yeah, so that's that. So if I bring you over here, we've got 10 channels of mic amps, and they're very simple. There's just a gain. These are all switches, they're not pots, with very simple top and bass EQ, which is, I think the top EQ is around 10k, the bass is around 100 hertz. Each channel is slightly different. We've been through them all, but we decided to keep them as many original components as we could, so the tolerances are slightly different between them. For example, channel 11 has a little bit more gain than channel 12. You can line them up with meters if you're putting sort of stems or groups of things through them when you're mixing. But you know, I have a couple of favorites in here. I have, so for example, channel 15 is great for vocals with the U47. Anyway, so these feed the channel faders here, and on the back of the console we have direct outs, which also come up on the Bantam patch bay here, so that they interface with everything else. So you can patch out of those into any of the outboard gear, you can go into the tape machine, you can go into the converters. Really straightforward. It works just as a modern console in that sense. We've got pan pots on here. So anyway, these faders, you've got direct outs, but they also feed a subgroup, which on here is called LR. This is a throwback to this console was channels 11 to 20. I don't know where 1 to 10 are, probably lost in history somewhere. But anyway, this feeds the left-right bus, which is on here, and there's an output for the left-right bus, so you can basically have 10 channels feeding this. But this left-right bus also feeds this set of faders, excuse me, this set of faders here, which are track 3 and 4. So depending sort of how much of the Decca sound you want, you can either come out directly on the channel, you can come out on the first mix bus, or you can come out on an additional mix bus which has some more, I guess I'm going to call them valve goodness. So you got that. We've also got a stereo input that feeds directly into here as well. I will often use this when I'm mastering. It's a little bit cleaner because we're not going through an additional set of channels, but if I just want some of this flavor, I can do it. So I can come in on here, it's just a sort of a modern pot that we've put in. I can feed this bus, or I can come out of here, which is great. The other thing that we've got on here, which are beautiful, are these 2 Decca compressors. If I'm honest, they don't get used that much. They can really sort of thump a little bit. They're sort of a little bit tricky to set up with the threshold. They are all on clicks, so they are very, very recallable, which is great. And they definitely have a sound. I've used them on lots of things, use them on drums, things like that. Occasionally we'll use them on a mix or something, but they definitely have a flavour, and I don't know how much Decca would have used them originally. And then moving down, we've got this, I guess you would call it an echo scent mixer. Excuse me. This is a really simple 5-channel mixer. So we've got five faders here. Again, all switches rather than pots. And these 5 feed this master fader here. And when I've done projects, sort of vintagey projects, where we've just used the Decca and the plate and a little bit of outboard, I would go out of the direct outs on the channel and use that as a post fader send, because the direct output's a post fader, obviously, into the inputs on here, and then from here into the plate reverb, which is in the shed, and then the plate reverb would come back into the stereo return here. So you've got a really cool little 10-channel mixer, which is beautiful. What I do generally more these days, I generally work in the box when I'm mixing, so this really gets used most for mastering and for recording. I will flick the mic amps into line level, which is kind of where they are now, and then sort of maybe put some drums through them, or some bass or some vocals and things like that, or some strings, and I'll generally capture that in Pro Tools and then not have to come back to it. So that's really cool. I'm going to run you outside. So we're set up for a listening event for a fantastic audio company. So you see, it doesn't look quite like it usually would, but over here, excuse the noise, we have one of the Decca mic amp wraps, and these are exactly the same channels that are in the console. These are numbered 21 through 30, and these come up on an old style Jones connector on the rear, which you can sort of see, and that comes up on a modern EDAC, which then plugs into the wall here. It also plugs into the wall. There's a patch bay way over in the corner over there. There's also one in the booth, and there's one in the lobby, which I don't really use, to be honest, but they come up in here. There we go. They come up in here, and we can sort of move around depending where they are, just with one connection, which is great. So you plug your rack in the wall, comes up on here, and then comes up out on here, rather, again on Bantams. And the theory was that you could roll, we've got 2 of these racks, so you could roll, there's one in the booth over there and one over there, so there are a total of 30 channels. And the theory was you could roll the racks in here and use them as a 30-channel valve summing mixer. I haven't really done that over the years. It wasn't something I needed to do, but it would do that, and I think it would sound pretty marvelous. So yeah, maybe I'm going to do that. Anyway, stay tuned. We've got a fantastic album that we're recording with a wonderful singer from Spain next week, and you can bet we're going to be using the Decca and everything else, and I will try and get some in-session footage, and with Natalia, the singer's permission, perhaps we can get a few audio samples of some vocals and some drums that I can show you this sort of in use, because it's unique and it's really special. It's a beautiful sound, which is why it's here. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, and catch you soon.